cooking some doe tenderloin. We're going to use a cast iron skillet. Works really well, has a good even heat for what we're wanting to do. We're going to add a little bit of oil, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. Add a little bit, shake it around. We're on about a medium heat. Now what we're trying to accomplish initially, we're trying to sear both sides of the meat before adding flavorful liquids. This meat's been seasoned using Cavender's and Tony Chachere's. So we're going to go ahead and set that in there. You can tell by the sheen on the oil that it is warm enough. And the sizzle confirms that. We're going to add one layer of meat. You might have to do this in multiple batches depending on how much meat you have. We're going to let that cook for a while. I'm going to go in and get a little bit of aluminum foil to cover the meat up. We're going to let it cook for about 3 minutes and flip it. Once you notice that the meat on top has taken on a little bit of a brown color, it's time to flip it. Our goal here is not necessarily to cook the meat thoroughly. At this point in time, we're just trying to get a nice sear on both sides. Flip each individual piece over. Once you got it done, go ahead and put your cover back on. Once you've got to 3 minutes, you'll notice that your meat has taken on a brown look. Once again, at this point in time, we're just wanting to sear both sides. Go ahead, if your vessel is not large enough, you'll need to do another batch most likely. We're doing half a doe tenderloin, a doe that was about approximately 115 pounds. So we're going to need to do another batch. At this point in time, we're just going to take this out. We're going to add it back to the flavorful liquid later. But we're just going to put this in a safe place to keep it warm. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more oil in. Have this nice liquid in here. We don't want to ruin that. We're just going to add a little bit of oil. Now, some people run into venison being a little too on the tough side, but one way to get around that is to slice it thinly. One reason that venison is tough is that it has a very low fat content. Might not be the greatest thing for those who cook it and do not know how to cook it. However, it is a very healthy game animal, or any animal for that matter, to eat. You notice the slices are fairly thin. Go ahead and throw your cover back on. Time it for 3 minutes, and then we're ready to turn it. Once 3 minutes has elapsed, or when you start noticing that the blood is forming on top, go ahead and flip. Once you have all your meat cooked, go ahead and add your previous batches in. Be sure to evenly distribute it. We are going to add flavorful liquids, and we want to add as little as possible. It makes the overall cooking process easier. Go ahead and get that in there. Now you can use whatever kind of wine, champagne, liquor that you have around the house. We're just trying to add some flavorful liquids. Have a little bit of Corbel here today. I've added some water into it. You could go ahead and do approximately 40% alcohol. The rest water. I'm going to throw in a little bit of Seared 7 as well. Why not? One very important thing you can do with venison, pork, just about anything, add in just a little bit of soy sauce. Gives it a great flavor. Don't add too much, otherwise you'll scorch the soy sauce. Now what we're going to do here, we're going to boil this for approximately 20 minutes. What we're trying to accomplish, we're trying to break down some of the connective tissue in venison. As I mentioned before, venison can be tough at times, but if you break down those connective tissues within, it'll become nice and tender and have a wonderful flavor. Many people in my part of the country, in the South, in Arkansas, tend to fry deer meat. You really don't get the venison taste. You ruin the flavor, and it's fried. By doing this, we're going to make tender, flavorful meat that's healthy for you, and it tastes incredible. Once you have that added, go ahead and cover. After about 20-25 minutes or so, you're going to get a nice little gravy at the bottom of the pan. Not a thick gravy. You could thicken it up if you'd like to, however, I'm not going to. But that's the culmination of our 35 minutes or so of cooking. Total time, wonderful venison.